So, welcome to the Maythorn Monthly. We're outdoors again in the true British summer weather. Could rain any minute. Later in the programme we've got some Australian winter, which looks a lot better than the British summer. I'm not going to mention my hair. One or two people have contacted me and said, what is that bush on your head? But no, let's not talk about that. I promise by September I will get it sorted and get it cut. So we're going to go back to Bulgaria. That was the last trip we made, and we stayed in a hotel in March in the Shumen district of Bulgaria. It was called the Park Hotel. It wasn't one that we were over impressed with because we paid this sort of top price, sort of £25 a night, which is a lot for a hotel in Bulgaria. And Booking.com said that it spoke our language, didn't speak English when we got there. The guy on the reception was German. Well, he may not have been German, but he only spoke German. He couldn't work the card machine, so he fumbled and tried several times, and in the end we got the transaction through in 2 bits that hopefully added up to the right total. And I'm going to show you what happened next. We had a room with a balcony. We were looking forward to going out in the morning on the balcony to enjoy the view of the forest nearby, only opened the curtains in the morning, there's a man on our balcony, and there the story unfolded, as you can see. And they were working on all the balconies along our floor and on the roof. And then when we finally got packed and out, we could see that they were working on the whole hotel. So a bit of a letdown, really. They shouldn't really be charging full price for a hotel that's undergoing works, but there we are. We were flying home that day, so we couldn't do much about it.
2 years ago this month, we were at Marina Door watching the new development of apartments coming out of the ground. We were back in Chester at Vicar's Cross. There's a programme of works on my house there. We just fitted new stair carpets to match the tenant's dog. Colin had got himself a drone, but we couldn't get it to take off. I built myself a video production facility at our apartment in Spain so we could run the whole show from there. And also that month I went down to Gunwharf Quays at Portsmouth. 2 of my granddaughters, who've been helping me strip out the house in Tryfin, went off with the family to Australia for the entire summer holidays, and within 12 months they moved out there altogether. Now let's zoom in on the map and see where they ended up. We go to Western Australia, to Perth, and then zoom in on Mandurah, and this is the area that they live in. Colette has sent back some video. This is a bridge that takes them from where they live on one side of the cut to where they work and go to school on the other side. They cross this bridge, I would imagine, more or less every day. The Dawesville Channel is home to a number of species that you wouldn't find in the lakes in Moss Valley Country Park, which is where I started the programme from. And this isn't a rare occurrence. These videos and pictures that Colette has sent over to me are pretty much the sort of thing you can see right through the year as you walk alongside the cut.
Well, from the Mandurah area near Perth in Western Australia, we're back here in Flintshire in Trythin, in the cottage that we've been doing up now for, I don't know, 30 years, is it? I can't remember. Anyway, I'm going through checking wiring circuits at the moment, and this is generally what I've been doing. When there's just a pair of wires sticking out the ceiling, I connect one of these downlighter sockets to it, and then I can prove them through and put a bulb in and see if that works. I've been having to do the same with this. This is the old cooker socket, which is all mangled and horrible, and the outlet to the cooker is just coming out the plaster in the wall. Looks horrible, but I've also connected a downlighter socket to that. That works. So once we get a cooker, we can connect that. So that's what I'm doing here at Trythin, and that's our project for the next couple of months. So August and September will largely be us, Bob and I, here in Trythin. For the last month, most of July, we've been up in Wallasey, and we've been doing some work on room 3. Room 3 was a storeroom. Now, when the family moved to Australia, we piled a lot of their stuff that they couldn't take with them into that storeroom, and we also had a lot of our stuff in there as well. But it's a room that could make us some money, so we decided to clear it out. We've got 2 storerooms, so it was a case of doing a lot of work to get 2 loads of junk into 1 load of junk and clear a room and get it decorated. So here's some of the progress, starting with clearing away all the rubbish.
Once all this stuff is out of the way, we bring in Bob the handyman to give the walls a coat of the landlord colour of magnolia, but we have another plan these days, and that's to do one feature wall in a different colour. We decided this room needed a shade of blue, so we picked the paint called Boating Lake and got that painted. Then we brought in some furniture, some of which we already had and some of which we had to buy. We brought in bedding, we brought in curtains, and we bought a couple of things like the chair from IKEA, like the rug from B&M, and we also needed a decent wardrobe that would fit exactly in the alcove of this room, so we got a flat pack, again from B&M, and that's what it looks like built. You're never sure what a new tenant is going to turn up with, so I got a quilt and a pillow and the covers for those and put them on the bed, and I was just putting the pictures on the wall when the tenant actually turned up, and it turned out he had his own bedding, so what you're seeing now is the finished room with the pictures up and the tenant's bedding on the bed.
So this is some more of the wiring at Trythin. The reason it's hanging from, well, it's hanging from the ceiling, but it's hanging mid-air, is because the new floor upstairs we had to put in meant that there was just one big open space here at one time, and the wiring that was in the ceiling all just got hung. So I have to sort this out as well. There's junction boxes and wires taped up, and they go to lights, and they go to the immersion heater upstairs. They probably also go to the cooker feed, which we'll have to use, and some of the old controls from the oil central heating. And we're, of course, going in for all electric, which is what we normally do. The automation that I'm putting in at Wallasey in the Denton Drive for HMO is a sign of the kind of thing that I like to do, and there'll be more of that later. But right now, let's go somewhere where we'd like to be right now, but unfortunately we can't. So this is one of our old home movies from a holiday we had in Fuerteventura. Welcome to Canary Corner.
Back to the HMO at Denton Drive, Wallasey, and this is room 4 we've moved on to now. We did a job earlier in the year where we had to make a hole in the ceiling to look at the plumbing in the upstairs room. The girl who lives here is French, and she's back with her parents in France at the moment, so we're giving her room a coat of paint while she's away, with her permission of course. As the weeks go by and the lockdown is eased, different things start opening up. Now, Chester Zoo has been closed and losing a lot of money, of course. It's now allowed to open its outdoor areas, but what you're looking at here is the outdoor area of the Blue Planet Aquarium. As you will see, there are no exhibits here, and of course people can't go into the aquarium, so this remains a desolate car park for the time being. Over in Spain, there's a piece of wasteland opposite our apartment block that I have been watching last year as it slowly got developed. And the last time we saw it was early in 2020 when it looked like this. I never showed you these pictures, so here they are now. I wasn't going to show you them until we had the completed picture, but obviously that's not going to happen anytime soon. Railway enthusiasts will recognise this as a track layout of the kind we used to have on our railways, and in fact it's now been replaced in Oris in Bulgaria, where I took these shots in 2007. The station master of the time is no longer there, nor, by the way, is his hat, because we managed to acquire that as well. And the station was actually modernised a few years ago, now has a woman as the station master who wears that cap. Back to my HMO in Wallasey, and numeric progression is a wonderful thing. I showed you the room 3 that we did up and painted to bring back into use. I showed you room 4 that we painted while the tenant was away. Well, this is room 5, where all the junk from both the storerooms has ended up, and that is something I'm going to have to deal with over the next few months.
Saturday the 2nd of March 1974, and straight away a dedication to Mr. and Mrs. Cropper and family in Class Sec A2, that looks like, in Birkenhead Tech. And also to Karen and Gail and all the girls in Timothy White's in Grange Road in Birkenhead, and Dale and Beryl and the kids, and that comes from Elaine Cropper. In Smart Circus this morning we have a special feature on Linda Lewis, a long interview and lots of tracks from her albums. That's coming up in a few records' time, so Linda Lewis fans, stay tuned.
On 202 and VHF, it's Radio Merseyside.
And as I said this morning, we have a feature on Linda Lewis at Lark Lady, and the feature has been compiled and presented by that hairy Scotsman from Manchester, Michael Riddock.
You have seen the scarlet trees and the lions overseas. You must soften as you trot, have wearied not to be abroad.
A remarkable and I think unique voice, an overused word, but I think in this case a true word, of Linda Lewis. Welcome, Linda.
Hello.
With a little bit of a little song called Little Indians, which from the Lark album, and you attribute this to Robert Louis Stevenson. And I know some of Stevenson's works, but I don't know that one. Tell me about this.
Well, he wrote a book, I think it was when he was in hospital or something, when he was an old man, and he remembered his childhood. And he wrote this book called Back to Childhood, and it's about poems about stepping in puddles and things, and all the kind of things you do when you're a kid. And that was one of the poems that I kind of hooked onto, because I like the words, you know, I like singing them, and I like the idea of it, you know, having to say, wouldn't you like to be like me, you know.
And it says in your biographies, Linda Lewis, born in the East End. Now, I mean, that conjures up lots of images. What was your childhood like?
Well, it was a bit rough. Because,
a bit rough?
Yes, because you know, my mum had to kind of bring us up most of the time because my dad was off out places and things. And there weren't many kind of coloured families in that area. My family is like half and half. It's like half West Indian and half English. And there are a few of them. And so I was always into fights about, you know, that thing about me being black and everything. But that seemed to kind of die away as I got older.
It got better as you got older?
Yeah, well, you know what kids are. They're like very insulting, aren't they? They tell you right out what it's all about instead of just keeping it inside.
And there's the track from Fathoms Deep by Linda Lewis. That's called Wise Eyes. Brings to an end our feature, compiled by Mike Riddick of BBC Radio Manchester. That's for sure.
Remember this golden classic.
Brian Smart, wonderful Radio Merseyside.
Well, the show wouldn't be complete without a touch of technology, and these are the kind of main sockets I've been replacing into the walls in the HMO. Aurora, who make the latest ones I've been using, reckon they're great for locking out sockets in your child's bedroom to stop them playing on the computer when they shouldn't be. Because of the extra electronics that are built in behind these sockets, I've had trouble getting some of them into the shallow back boxes in the house. These sockets by Aurora stand proud of the wall thanks to a kind of plastic collar. These motion sensors and smoke sensors I've been using in the house since 2016, but I've now got an inline relay I've just started using, which allows me to turn heaters on and off from my smartphone. It also gives the tenants some control because there's a Smart Things button that I can program to allow them to do the same thing. Now here's a bit more of that video from 2007 in Orange, Bulgaria. This is the day that I first saw my house on the hill and saw that it had a grapevine and it had a fantastic view overlooking the village. Just a bit of reminiscing to end the programme this month.
So this is all... The fence marks the boundary.
Yes, the fence marks.
So we have a sloping vegetable patch probably here then.
But it's a great view. Colin does not have that.
No, it is a good view, very elevated. So
Well, I hope we can get back to Orish again soon, but that's it for this month. See you in September.